Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
Somewhere I saw that your dream mentor is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I would say from a business standpoint, not necessarily a personal life standpoint,
Sure.
right? I have a different perspective on life than he does.
Yep.
I think that he has a level of courage and boldness, and also a level of challenging the status quo that most people don't have. For me, growing up most of my life, I've always been the type of kid that always asked why. I was probably the most annoying kid to my parents because they would tell me to do something. I'd be like, why? And it's like, because I'm your parent, now go do it. Right? And so the thing is, and I expect mine and Sarah's kids to also be very similar, constantly questioning. And I know I need to grow in my patience to be like, I don't want to give them the answer, the reason. I know in my flesh, I'm going to be like, because I said so, I'm your dad, go do it. But I need to be giving them answers because I, as a kid, wanted answers too.
Yes.
Like something as simple as in high school, I had a 2.6 GPA in high school. I didn't try, right? And if just one person gave me a good reason as to why I should do my homework and get college credit for my AP courses and stuff like that, like for your AP classes, you get 10 extra points on your average. But I was like, oh, cool, I get to be 10 points lazier. So I just need a 59.5, and then I passed this class. And if anyone ever taught, if someone,
you were too smart for your own good.
Yeah. I was like, if one person just gave me a good reason, my parents, they didn't know about, they're immigrants, they didn't know about like AP credit and all that type of stuff. If one person just gave me a good reason why, I probably would have done all of that, and I probably could have utilized those things for a better outcome. But I think Elon Musk had a good, healthy perspective on questioning things, and then he goes and seeks out the answer. For me as a kid, I just would question things and wanted things to be handed to me as far as you didn't give me an answer. Okay, that means there's no good answer. As opposed to you didn't give me an answer. Maybe there's a reason why people do this. Let me go find out.
Okay.
And I think that I've learned that over the years that people test these things, and even just looking at the way that he had built all of his vehicles. He definitely tested the status quo in regards to vehicles have been built this way for the past 130 years, whatever. That doesn't mean we necessarily need to do the same thing with the Model S and the X and the 3 or whatever. If you look at the chassis, it's so different. It's not even a car. It's a different type of vehicle, and it's because they tested all the assumptions. And even for me, the way that I built Immersed, same thing, man. Like back in 2017, when I checked out the landscape to see what other products are out there that are similar, I just felt like all of them were targeting the technology, or rather building their product based on what's available technologically, as opposed to building for the user. And I think it was like Steve Jobs who talks about, let's focus on the user and then work our way back to what technology needs to be invented to service that, as opposed to, hey, what's possible today, quote unquote, and let's just build that and try to pigeonhole the user and train them to learn a new type of way of using this garbage technology.
Yes, I love that, and Musk does that really well. I mean, I just think, even setting aside the renewable energy piece, that's just how cars were meant to be driven, in my opinion. I mean, when you drive an electric vehicle that's built well, like a Tesla, the speed, the responsiveness, the torque, the ease that it moves around, the fluidity of movement, the spontaneous just kind of starts, and the regenerative braking. You pull your foot off the pedal. It's like, this is how cars were meant to be driven. And the other, a few weeks ago, I was at the office. I looked out the window, and there was a Tesla that come up to the stop sign, took a right, and went down the road. You could tell by the way that car accelerated that it was electric. I mean, I knew that it was, because I could tell it was Tesla. That aside, though, if you had this gas car do the same thing, it's just different. There was a responsiveness there that I think you really just get with an electric vehicle. It's like, this is how cars were meant to be driven.
Exactly.
It's something that's supposed to feel. What do you think? Do you think what Elon's doing is sustainable? I mean, he's what he said, 4 big businesses, or 3 or 4. I mean, it's like, this is kind of unprecedented what he's doing, isn't it?
So the thing is, he spends 50-50 between SpaceX and Tesla. Those are his 2 babies. When it comes to things like the Boring Company and OpenAI and these different companies that he kind of has a little bit of his hand in, he says he spends about, I think, 2 hours a week on the Boring Company. He works about 100 hours a week, 2% on the Boring Company, like 40% Tesla, 40% SpaceX, and then he has like these other little things that he kind of does on the side,
like Neuralink and stuff.
Yeah, Neuralink's another one. Okay. And so he is mainly there. Like, he realizes Tesla and SpaceX, these are the biggest revenue generating companies. Okay. So he needs more of his time there. But when it comes to Boring and Neuralink, as soon as one of those things become, like probably Neuralink in 10 years from now, like he'll likely find someone who can replace him at Tesla or SpaceX. He'll more likely let go of Tesla than he will SpaceX. He talked about how at Tesla, I mean, he's been looking for a replacement. Like I think about 2 or 3 years ago, he mentioned he's looking for a replacement. He just hasn't been able to find someone who could that he could trust will run the company the way that it should be run. Because again, again, it's too easy to become a money hungry entrepreneur that doesn't care about the mission and cares more about the money up front. And so in order to keep him on board, his board gave him this crazy target, which was, hey, 10x the company in the next 5 years. I think he did it in 2 or 3 years, which happened this year. 10x the company, which is nuts. I remember when their shares were, before the 5-for-1 stock split, their stock was 170. And I was actually in. I sold at 265, and then they just started
I had some
going
at 260. Yeah,
and then they went to the 2000s, and I wasn't in. I was like, oh crap, it's too high. It's gonna come back down. Never came back down. 5-for-1 stock split, and then now again, I think this morning, as of this morning, it's like 620 or 630 right now after the stock split. So like that means over 3K before the stock split, which is mind blowing, right? So that being said, like. He realizes he has to focus his time and energy towards the larger companies. When Neuralink, honestly, probably 10 years from now, it'll be a massive thing because, we start moving into the Matrix sort of stuff, and that's kind of a whole like weird kind of world. But if that is making revenue and it's like an actual commercialized product, I mean, it might make sense for him to start increasing his percentage of time on that company to make sure that the vision and the mission is accomplished as opposed to just the money.
To apply what only he can apply, right? Because, I mean, he applied some things that only he can apply to like the Tesla or SpaceX, I feel. And if the time is right for Neuralink, there's going to be things there that need to be applied that only he can apply.
Exactly,
it's like my pastor, I heard it once say, like, 1 step ahead's a leader, 2 steps ahead's a visionary, and 3 steps ahead is a martyr.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
like, there is such a thing about getting too far
100%,
ahead.
Yeah.
And
he said he wants to die on Mars, but just not on impact. Like, he's so about SpaceX's mission. He wants to be on not the first SpaceX mission to Mars, but maybe the second or third. And that is like being a martyr. It's like he even said the first group of people, be okay with the fact that you might lose your life.
That's right.
And you're 100% right about that. But sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're good. Do you think you could work for him though?
If I could work for Elon, I've heard mixed reviews about him.
Okay.
I think I could, but the only thing is, I wonder what his leadership style is like to his like first level down. Does that make sense?
There's a particular leader out there that's very hard on the level down.
Yeah.
The first level down, extremely hard.
Yeah.
I think Trump probably is one of those, and there's some others I have in mind too. But I feel like I should have even mentioned Trump because we don't want to bring him into this. But let's just take Elon, for example.
Yeah.
That type of leader is so focused on the mission and the end user that they're willing to sort of sacrifice some level of workability on that top line. And I'm not sure how you get it any other way, to be honest with you.
But I think that he's looking for a type of leadership that realizes that he has to be hard on that first level.
Yep.
And I think that I remember telling the early people on my team, the early employees, I was like, man, if I could do this over, I'd probably be part of the first early hires at a startup as opposed to being the founder or on the founding team because of how freaking hard it is to start a company from the ground up. And that being said, I think because I understand the mentality of a founder, I think that I could probably appreciate the hard pressure that he puts on his first level leadership that most people don't appreciate. And so I think that although he'd probably be hard on me, I'd probably be okay with it, but it depends on my stage in life. Meaning, if he's like, hey, I need you to work 100-hour weeks, and then I have like 3 kids, I'm like, probably not. But it just sort of depends on kind of where I'm at in life.